I hope Strange New Worlds Season 3 solves the mystery of Kirk's other Star Trek ship. I hope Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 solves a mystery surrounding the starship Lieutenant James T. Kirk Paul Wesley serves on. In Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3, Paul Wesley is slated to return as Lt. Kirk, the younger version of William Shatner's Captain James T. Kirk in Star Trek, the original series. Although Kirk is a frequent and welcome visitor to Captain Christopher Pike's Anson Mount USS Enterprise, Jim does technically belong aboard a different starship. In Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Lt. Kirk was promoted to first officer of the USS Farragut. Kirk's impressive new posting beat his father, Lt. George Kirk's record as Starfleet's youngest first officer. The USS Farragut was commanded by Captain Garavik before a tragic encounter with a dichoronium cloud creature in 2257. The monster killed half of the Farragut's crew, including Captain Garavik, but who replaced Garavik as captain of the Farragut? Who is captain of USS Farragut in Star Trek Strange New Worlds? Star Trek Strange New Worlds begins in 2259, and the USS Farragut has been seen a handful of times in the prequel series. However, Strange New Worlds hasn't indicated who the captain of the Farragut is, and this is hopefully something Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 will reveal. In Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 2, Episode 6, Lost in Translation, the Farragut was placed under the command of Fleet Captain Pike, but this only deepened the mystery of who sits in the Farragut's center seat. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 1's finale, A Quality of Mercy, created an alternate future timeline where James T. Kirk was captain of the USS Farragut instead of the Enterprise. If Strange New Worlds Season 3 reveals the Farragut captain's identity, it's likely that it will be a new character. However, there is also a handful of existing 23rd century captains from Star Trek, the original series, who could conceivably command the Farragut in Strange New Worlds Season 3's timeframe. Captain Garavik's son is in Star Trek the original series. The unseen Captain Garavik's son, Ensign David Garavik Stephen Brooks, served on the USS Enterprise in Star Trek the original series. Introduced in Star Trek the original series Season 2, Episode 18, Obsession, the newly transferred Ensign Garavik and Captain Kirk encountered the same dichoronium cloud creature that attacked the USS Farragut in 2257. After Kirk and Garavik destroyed the creature, the captain told David a few tall tales about his father. Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 could add to the Garavik's and Farragut's legacies. Star Trek Prodigy Season 1, Episode 13, All the World's a Stage, revealed that sometime after destroying the dichoronium cloud creature, Ensign David Garavik crashed the shuttlecraft Galileo on planet 00426992. The planet's inhabitants patterned themselves after Ensign Garavik and the Starship Enterprise, dubbing themselves the Enderprisians. David Garavik didn't serve on the USS Farragut like his father, but Star Trek Strange New Worlds Season 3 could add to the Garavik's and Farragut's legacies. When Strange New Worlds introduced Paul Wesley's James T. Kirk, Star Trek fans knew the character's presence would echo into the larger mythos. What we didn't expect, however, was a peculiar mystery to arise. What exactly is the deal with the U.S. Farragut, Kirk's other starship? Across the Star Trek canon, fans have long known Kirk served aboard the Farragut before taking command of the iconic USS Enterprise. But Strange New Worlds has added new texture to that past and raised new questions. With Season 3 on the horizon, now is the perfect time for the show to address this lingering enigma. After all, Strange New Worlds excels at weaving character development into larger franchise lore, and Kirk's Farragut years are ripe for exploration. The Farragut, a canonical ghost ship, Kirk's service aboard the USS Farragut has been referenced since the original series. In the episode Obsession, we learn that as a young lieutenant, Kirk was aboard the Farragut during a devastating encounter with a vampiric gas cloud. The tragedy left 200 crew members dead, including Captain Garavik, a mentor to Kirk. The emotional weight of that event shaped the captain we would come to know. But outside of that episode, the Farragut has remained a footnote, an important but underexplored piece of Kirk's backstory. That changed with Strange New Worlds Season 2, which brought the ship into the spotlight and made it a living, breathing part of Starfleet again. Paul Wesley's Kirk serves as the first officer aboard the Farragut under Captain Pike's former colleague. This aligns with canon, but also seems to contradict it. Kirk's rank, demeanor, and assignments appear more advanced than the young lieutenant we were told about in TOS. Could Strange New Worlds be rewriting the timeline? Or is something more complex happening? Time, timelines, and a touch of Trek paradox. Strange New Worlds thrives on bending and reshaping Trek's temporal possibilities. In Season 2, we were treated to alternate futures, mirror timelines, and multiple versions of the same characters. This opens the door to a fascinating theory. The Kirk we've seen might not be entirely native to the timeline we know. If that's true, the Farragut's role and Kirk's relationship to it could be a key to understanding this evolving multiverse. Is the ship itself a pivot point in timeline divergence? Is Strange New Worlds subtly setting up a mystery that ties the Farragut to Kirk's destiny, not just as a stepping stone, but as a transformative crucible? What's more, the show has already used the Farragut as a dramatic backdrop. In Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, an alternate Kirk commands the Farragut in a dark timeline where the Enterprise was never built. That ship and its captain save the day, but it raises a compelling question. If Kirk's future is so intertwined with the Farragut in multiple realities, why is it so unexplored in the one we consider prime? An emotional gap that needs filling. While Trek fans love ships and stardates, what Strange New Worlds does best is emotion. Pike's internal struggle, Lon's trauma, Spock's duality, these arcs give depth to the show's bright aesthetic. The Farragut mystery is a perfect opportunity to do the same for Kirk. Imagine seeing the mission that led to the gas cloud tragedy firsthand. A young, idealistic Kirk making a critical error. The loss of Garvik, his guilt, and how it pushes him toward the command style we know. It would not only pay homage to classic Trek, but deepen our understanding of Kirk as a man, a leader forged in loss, not glory. Season 3 could reframe that tragedy not just as a footnote, but as a crucible moment. Done right, it could even retroactively enrich the original series, making Kirk's leadership feel even more earned. And by exploring this before he takes command of the Enterprise, Strange New Worlds could show how good captains aren't born, they're made. Why the mystery matters? At first glance, the Farragut might seem like a minor detail. But in Trek, small details often hold large meaning. The ship represents a time before legend, before the Kobayashi Maru, before Khan, before the chair in the center of the bridge. It's the last stop before destiny. If Strange New Worlds aims to tell the story of how Kirk becomes that Kirk, then the Farragut must be part of that journey. It's not just a missing puzzle piece. It's the border that frames the whole picture. And there's still so much we don't know. What was Kirk's relationship with Captain Garvik really like? How did the incident affect his career trajectory? Was it his first taste of command? Or was it a wake-up call that he wasn't ready? These are stories worth telling, not just to clarify canon, but to humanize one of Trek's most iconic figures. A hope for Season 3. As Strange New Worlds Season 3 approaches, the show has a chance to bridge classic lore with modern storytelling. Resolving the mystery of Kirk's time on the Farragut, or at least illuminating it, would honor longtime fans while enriching new viewers' understanding.